Now, it's been revealed that nearly half of GPs surveyed said they would want to be prescribed drugs to help them die if they were terminally ill and suffering unbearably. The Royal College of Physicians still opposes assisted dying, but this got us talking a lot this morning about would you change your GP if you didn't agree with their views on assisted suicide or they were opposite views to yours. It's an interesting one. We've discussed assisted dying quite often on the programme, Janet, but not this idea of, well, what if your GP agrees or doesn't agree with you? Would you still go to them?
I think it's a really interesting question because obviously at the moment a lot of GPs do facilitate dying without, it's a bit of a grey area and it's a bit of a nod and a wink. And like with my own mother, I remember that she said, I've had enough, I want to die on Friday, and amongst all her other things that she said, but she was quite adamant that she'd had enough. And I remember saying to the doctor at the hospital, you know, is there anything you can do? And he said, no. But then my mother did pass away by the end of the week, which is what she had wanted. And I also think I want to encourage everyone watching to write a living will, to set out in no uncertain terms that should you be diagnosed with a terminal illness and should you fade into unconsciousness, you want your wishes set out, and if you don't want to be resuscitated, you set that out and you have it witnessed. So that living wills are really, really important. But I would like to know what my doctor thinks.
I mean, it's almost half of GPs are saying they would like to think that they would be prescribed drugs to help them die if they were terminally ill. And yet, that's illegal for them to do so at the moment. And this is the Royal College of Physicians apparently are surveying them all to say, do we need to change our stance on this?
Well, of course, there will be a lot of people who don't agree with assisted dying. And for them, they should know how their doctor feels as well. So that started me thinking, like, supposing you want to know your doctor's position on unplanned pregnancy, how do they feel about abortion? How do they feel about giving HRT to women of a certain age and continuing to give it? I know we're really short of doctors, so what I'm proposing might make things even more difficult. But given that the doctor controls so much about your life and your medication and what quality of life you have, wouldn't it be good to have a kind of... So you went to your doctor and you said, well, what do you believe in?
Would it be important to you that your doctor had the same beliefs?
Well, yeah, you know, this has really made me think this morning because years ago, I was in my late 20s, I had an accident. I went to the doctor, to the GP, it was a woman, and I said that I was worried that I might be pregnant. She asked me when I'd had sex, where I was in my cycle, blah, blah, blah. And you know what it's like when you're frightened about being pregnant? The thing that you want to hear is somebody saying, oh, there's no way that you will be. And she more or less said this to me. She said, you know, where you are in the cycle, it's highly unlikely that you would be. It's a very powerful thing, the morning after pill, blah, blah, blah. And so I was kind of relieved. Oh, OK, I didn't really need it. Oh, good, because I didn't really want it. Well, sadly, I was pregnant. I got pregnant. And I think now, when I think back to that she was probably anti it.
It does make
so I think if somebody is anti-abortion or anti the morning after pill, or even the coil, some doctors don't like the coil.
But then what are you saying?
Then they ought
to want them to, what, in their surgery, have something you could read, say, here are my beliefs.
I think it's for them as well. But is it not to protect them as well? Because why should they be made to go against something that doesn't sit right with them morally?
But should doctors be moralising about your life or your life?
I started reading up a little bit, and there was a study that went out. They did it within doctors, and the study revealed that the doctors who were religious or extremely religious, it led to fewer discussions of decisions with their patients around treatment at end of life. And they were saying that actually beliefs do influence their practice. But I would say that, you know, for me, all I want from a doctor is consistency and best practice and that they look at what's good for me. But I think the survey was saying that actually if you're religious or you have those beliefs, it does affect your treatment.
The Hippocratic Oath they take is to preserve life, isn't it?
It is.
That's what they
It is, but if
believe
you're
in.
religious, you may believe in Adam and Eve, and you may not believe in, you know, the dinosaurs. So how do you balance that kind of the way that you practice medicine? But interesting, we've got some great comments here. I mean, Jane says, I don't mind what their beliefs are as long as they help me with what I need and they don't use their beliefs to change my treatment.
Well, that's
But you won't,
problem.
which you might not know.
Exactly. And I mean, Melody makes a good point. She goes, it's so hard to get a doctor's appointment. Imagine the wait if you had to wait for one that had the same beliefs as you.